some more interesting information has come out about the Wii U. And by the way, I know we've been harping a lot on negative stuff regarding Nintendo hardware. We like Nintendo. Okay, we like Nintendo, but when we see these things in the news, I can't help but have an opinion on them. Sorry. I'm an opinionated person. You're an opinionated person when it comes to this stuff. It just kind of happens.
I feel like we've been fair with all companies. We've tackled Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Maybe Nintendo a little bit more than the others, but that's just because they have more stuff to complain about.
Yeah, especially at this time in this generation, definitely. So what are we talking about? And this is kind of concerning, but the current president of Nintendo, his last name is Kimishima. We've talked about him before on the podcast, quoted him before. He believed that the Wii U would hit 100 million units. And I believe the original Wii did about that much. I think that might have done even more. I think it might have been closer to 120 off the top of my head. And the whole reason, this is his quote, the thinking was that because we sold well, Wii U would follow suit. I said that since the Wii had already sold so well, we need to clearly explain the attraction of the Wii U if we are to get beyond that and sell the new system. And here's currently the total only sits at 12.6 million units. It is definitely by far their worst selling home console that they've had, whereas the Wii was the best one. Now, here's why they should not have assumed, in my opinion, why they shouldn't have made that giant assumption of, why this is going to sell just as well as the Wii simply because we're calling it the Wii U and we think it's just as revolutionary with the tablet controller, which I'm never going to stop calling it that. Even though it's officially the game pad, I still love just calling it the tablet controller because that is what it is. The problem is the Wii had a phenomenal launch and a phenomenal, I would say, first 2 years. Once they got to the point, I want to say once 2009 came around, there wasn't a whole lot of really stellar first-party support. You had mostly shovelware coming out at that point. A lot of games which had been released, 5, 6, 7 years earlier on PS2 were getting Wii ports. That was really weird, and they shoehorned in, motion controls to make it fresh and new. So the console was becoming this target of ports of older games. Hardly anybody wants to buy anything that's just an older game, which you can pick up in a bargain bin for $5, but now you could pay $30 for it with motion controls. That doesn't sell well to gamers. And you saw this downward trend with the Wii starting in, I would say, 2009. So for them to come around and say, well, it's going to sell extremely well as the Wii did, just because it's using the same accessories, has a similar setup, and we're giving it the same branding, that's just going to equal paying over. And the thing is the Wii was lightning in a bottle. It brought in Nintendo uses something called Blue Ocean strategy for their sales, and it means basically you have a red ocean, Sony and Microsoft. They're just fighting over the gamers that have always been there, always been buying hardware. And the blue ocean mentality is you go to where people don't have any interest in gaming. and you try to sell your product to them. And that's what the Wii, with its Wii Sports, did for a lot of people. They saw tennis, they saw golf. That was a big one.
Really?
A lot of people I talk to love the golf. Like older people that don't like grandmas and grandpas, they liked golf a lot. It was golf and tennis were like the two big ones on Wii Sports. Not so much baseball, not so much boxing. I didn't care for the baseball anyway.
I actually liked baseball.
Bowling I thought was one of the best ones.
I think bowling was probably one of the top games.
I can't bowl to save my life in real life, but I could bowl pretty well on Wii Sports. And I've never played golf before, but I enjoyed the golf too. But it had that draw of, you could do these things that you do in real life from the comfort of your living room. And, as an older person, you know how to swing a tennis racket. So, you don't have to learn all these complicated button schemes. And they try to go both ways with the Wii U. They try to be like, oh, well, you're familiar with a tablet, right? Well, it works like that. And also, by the way, we're bringing back the classic controller form factor in the tablet so that if you're a hardcore gamer, you're going to want this system too. And in trying to please everyone, they pleased no one. And the world has moved on from motion controls. And if you want a tablet, you can literally get a tablet for free by signing up, with Verizon or AT&T. Like, they have promotions where you can get a free tablet. So that draw isn't there either. But I've talked enough about that. What's your opinion?
Well, first off, I went ahead and I looked up the sales for the Wii, just to go ahead and get an actual number. As of 2016, March 31st, the Wii has sold over 100 million units. And when it first came out, it actually it sold more units in the United States than the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 combined in the first half of 2007.
Yeah.
So this definitely was one of the consoles that people had in their homes. Like, if you went to someone and you knew they kind of played video games, or they had a child that was under the age of like 13 or something, they would probably have like either an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 3, but they would most definitely have a Wii.
Yeah. The Wii U is pretty much in everyone's home. The other thing they didn't do right with the Wii U is the marketing. The marketing for the Wii was fantastic, I thought. It told you everything that the system could do, what made it different from the other systems, and why you'd want it. I never really even saw marketing for the Wii U.
I didn't want the Wii U.
Well, if you don't market a system, you don't sell it.
No.
That goes for any product, anywhere, at any time.
I think the one thing that they focused on more than anything, I think, was the pad, like the gamepad, which was probably one of the reasons I didn't buy the game. It was the first reason being that I didn't have a Wii anymore, because there weren't a lot of games on the Wii that I liked playing or that I just wasn't bored of. I didn't know about Xenoblade. Was kind of upset about that. We talked about that about GameStop, so I won't go there. But when the Wii U came out, I was like, okay, so what games are coming out for it? Zombie U? Okay.
Batman Arkham City Armored Edition.
As of now, I believe there are 3 games that I would play on the Wii U. That is Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U, Pokken Tournament, because everyone should be playing that game because it's amazing, and I'm sad that I can't play that game. And then The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 games that I would consider playing on the Wii U if I had one. and one of those games isn't even out right now.
Yeah. So there's 2 games out right now that you would actually want to play.
Yeah. And that isn't to say that talking about the Wii U is pretty much the same thing as the Wii, except better graphics, some little things on the inside, and there's a pad. There's an iPad. There's an iPad with a controller stick and buttons, and you go pew 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 pew. It's not the same. It's not a controller because I've played with that thing playing Super Smash Brothers. It's better than the Pro Gaming controller, or like the Wii controller.
For the Wii or for the Wii,
the Wii U?
The Wii U one takes some adjustments because it has the thumbsticks up on top and then your control pad and your action buttons on the bottom.
Yeah, I would prefer using the Wii U pad than that controller. But as far as controllers go, that's probably one of the worst controllers I've played on. I'd probably say that the worst controller I've ever played is the Nintendo 64 controller, because half the time you didn't even use like 2/3 of or like 1/3 of the controller. There's no reason for it. Like, you have the Wii controller, which is, the Wii, and you have the nunchuck, and like, I guess for a controller, it does fine. Like, I was able to play Super Smash Bros. Brawl using that pretty okay when I had my Wii. But then when I got Super Smash Brothers, or when I played Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U, I was forced to use that controller because everyone else had a GameCube, and it was so awkward. Just everything was so far apart, and if you look at the screen, it's actually slower than it is on the TV. So people are saying that they're like doing things up there, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't done anything. There it is. I'm dead. Okay. What?
And that's probably because the TV was not set to game mode. Because I noticed the same lag that you were talking about. You turn game mode on the TV. If it's an HDMI connection, then it's 1-to-1 what you're watching. But it is interesting that if you leave things on the default, there's lag on the TV you didn't notice unless you are using the using the gamepad.
Yeah. So the fact that this didn't sell even a quarter of what they wanted to doesn't surprise me at all. I would actually
12%.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Like, they say that the GameCube was their biggest failure. I think the Wii U was probably one of their biggest failures.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Wii U sold 22 million units in the 6 years that it was on the market. So yeah, this is very, very far behind that.